Remember freaking out your little brother with your spooky face? Well, lighting effects have changed since then. Matt Johnson here has been explaining to me how to affect mood, intensify presentations, and even save money and energy with today's lighting techniques.
Put that down.
Okay, what we got over here?
We're speaking with Matt Johnson, Director of Product Management, and our subject is Light 'em Up, Advances in Lighting Capabilities. Interesting subject, Matt.
Great to be here, Bill.
Advanced in lighting capabilities. Help me understand about lighting in general, because I think it's a far more important subject than our viewers may be aware.
Certainly, lighting plays so many roles in the event space, whether you're trying to just light speakers, such as today, we're actually being lit for this interview. You're trying to create atmosphere, evoke emotion. There's so much that can happen in an event space that relies on proper lighting, that it's more than just, say, lighting a speaker on a stage.
And do you feel, has it been your experience that meeting professionals understand the importance of lighting?
Unfortunately, I would say for the most part, no. We tend to find that lighting often is the first thing that could be cut from a budget. A lot of individuals will consider lighting as sort of a nice to have, but maybe they don't completely understand the value, so it's often the first thing that's cut from an event.
So what are some ideas, some ways you can use light strategically then?
Strategically, well, and let's take a step back for a second. So if you think of functional lighting, we talked a little bit about this set right here and how I'm being lit, how you're being lit. In the meeting environment, certainly we're lighting presenters. So if we want to consider that functional lighting, I think it's a no-brainer that that's important that we see our presenters. You brought up a good point about strategic lighting, and we can consider that also environmental lighting. If you really want to create that wonderful environment, similar to our discussion about the dinner party at home, you can begin to consider how lighting can affect the rest of the event space. So, for example, studies have shown that lighting coupled with audio and video will improve retention by up to 80%. That's pretty strategic when you think of the investment a planner made for their event. In addition, though, you're not going to have a bunch of color, let's say, washing your speaker, right? You're going to have some traditional light. But color plays an important role, and color can really evoke a lot of emotion. So green, for example, can create a sense of calmness, and red can create energy. So by introducing some of this, as you put it, strategic lighting in the event space, you can have a huge impact on your audience.
So just to be clear, what were the two forms of lighting? There's strategic, functional
and strategic.
And I think that for some meeting professionals who are not as gifted in colors as others, and we're not all visual people.
Absolutely.
How do they manage that? Because
it's tough. So most people look at lighting and they're intimidated, right? I have enough trouble matching a tie to my shirt, let alone, coming up with a color scheme for a company event. So you really want to challenge your meeting provider, your event technology provider, to outline solutions, products, and scenic elements that they can introduce into the event space to help you kind of navigate through those decisions.
So are we just talking now general session kind of lighting, or is this?
Well, traditionally, people think about putting their investment in the general session, right? That's where you're going to have this big audience. You want to have that big impact. But as we spoke about lighting playing a role in retention, in evoking emotion, a lot of stuff happens in those breakout rooms. And so introducing even just a little bit of lighting in a breakout room to support those themes is critical, in my opinion. And of course, social events, it's a no-brainer. Bring that lighting into your social event to, again, create that energy. It's a fantastic way to utilize the investment throughout the entire event.
So, by way of summary, because we are talking in many cases to some meeting professionals who are new to the industry and others who are more veteran, but you have given us some some tips at least, some best practices in terms of the two kinds of lighting. What is that?
Certainly.
Structural and
So strategic and functional.
functional lighting. The fact that if there is no lighting designer in an estimate, you should look for one.
Absolutely, and don't forget, let's introduce some draperies that are not necessarily dark.
Right.
Consider you're bringing in some white fabric or anything lighter to help reflect the light. It's critical, and again, the use of LEDs. Bill, as we talked about, not only are they green, but the ability to mix colors endlessly.
Right.
Make sure that those are also included in your events as well.
And the impact of lighting on learning. The fact
No
that,
doubt about it.
that-
If you can
that's have an
improve
impact.
retention, I mean, what better investment could you make when your attendees leave an event and actually remember what they heard?
So when you talk about advances in lighting capabilities, there have been many, and meeting professionals should be aware of those.
Absolutely.
Including, Matt, thank you so much.
Thank you, Bill.
Great talking to you. We're speaking with Matt Johnson, Director of Product Management, PSAV, on the subject of advances in lighting capabilities. Thank you for joining us.